Think your life is rough? You wouldn't survive a single week in medieval times, and I'm not talking about the swords and the plague. I mean, you'd be taken out by something as simple as breakfast. Here's the thing most people get completely wrong about medieval survival. They think the danger is knights, dungeons, and battles, but the real killers were invisible. They were in your food, your water, your gut, and even the clock on the wall. Today we're going to find out if a modern person, someone like you, could actually survive life in the Middle Ages. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at your morning coffee the same way again. We're covering 10 scientifically grounded reasons why modern humans are shockingly unprepared for medieval life. Some of these are going to blow your mind. Some are going to make your stomach turn, but all of them are real. So, let's get into it. Let's start with something nobody talks about. Your gut. Before a single sword is drawn, before you even see a castle, your own digestive system would betray you. Medieval people had completely different gut bacteria than we do. Their microbiomes were packed with fiber-fermenting microbes, parasites, and soil bacteria from unwashed produce. It sounds gross, but it worked for them. Now drop a modern person into that world. You sit down to your first medieval meal, stone-ground grain porridge, sour ale, raw milk cheese, and your gut has absolutely no idea what to do with any of it. Within days, we're talking explosive diarrhea, cramping, and dehydration. You could die of gut shock before you even figure out which way the castle is. The sword didn't get you. Your own stomach did. But that's just the beginning, because your immune system has its own betrayal plan. You've probably been told your whole life that modern medicine has made you stronger, healthier, more resilient, and in many ways, that's true. But here's the twist nobody sees coming. Your immune system, raised in a clean, sterile, modern world, has never had to deal with what medieval bodies dealt with every single day. Parasitic worms, constant bacteria, endotoxins in everything. When your squeaky clean immune system suddenly gets hit with a medieval parasite load, it doesn't adapt. It panics. It fires off what scientists call a cytokine storm. Basically, your immune system going absolutely nuclear on itself. The inflammation alone could leave you bedridden. Medieval people weren't just tolerating worms. The worms were actually helping regulate their immune response. Wild, right? The very things that sound disgusting were keeping them alive. And without them, you're a walking inflammation bomb. That's a scary thought. But if you think that's bad, wait until you see what happens when you try to eat like a medieval peasant. Here's something that sounds simple until it destroys you. The calories. Medieval laborers, we're talking regular farmers and field workers, burned somewhere between 3,500 and 5,000 calories a day. That's during harvest season. They were machines, and to fuel those machines, they ate enormous portions of dense, grain-heavy food. Rye bread, barley porridge, pottage, that sad, thick vegetable stew that medieval peasants ate every single day. Salt fish, dried lentils, almost no sugar, almost no fresh fruit for months at a time. Now your modern body, with its modern insulin response, tries to process a massive bowl of dense grain porridge first thing in the morning. Your blood sugar spikes, then it crashes, hard. That's called reactive hypoglycemia, and it would leave you dizzy, shaky, and completely useless in the field. Then add the salt overload from preserved meats and fish. Then factor in the fact that there's basically zero vitamin C available in winter. Within weeks, you'd start showing signs of scurvy, bleeding gums, joint pain, fatigue, and everyone around you would just think you're weak. The food isn't just unpleasant, it's a biological trap for anyone whose body wasn't built for it. But here's where it gets really interesting, because there's one thing everyone gets wrong about medieval water. You've heard the joke. Medieval people drank beer because the water was poison. And that's kind of true, but it's way more complicated than that. Medieval people weren't stupid. They knew the difference between clean water and dangerous water. Wells, springs, and flowing streams were often perfectly safe. stagnant ponds and urban runoff near towns. That's where people got sick. So they developed a genius workaround. Small beer, 1 to 3% alcohol, brewed from boiled water, which killed the pathogens and packed with calories from the grain. It wasn't about getting drunk, it was a hydration technology. Kids drank it, monks drank it, farmers drank it all day. The problem for you wouldn't know which water source was safe and which one was a death trap. That knowledge was hyperlocal. It was passed down through generations. Strangers didn't have it. You'd probably drink from the wrong source within your first week, and that's a fast way to end your medieval adventure permanently.
Help me!
Now we've talked about your gut, your immune system, your diet, and your water. But here's one that sounds almost funny until you realize it could literally get you killed. Time. Medieval people didn't have clocks, not like ours. They ran their entire lives on church bells and something called canonical hours, a system where the length of an hour actually changed depending on the season. Summer hours were longer, winter hours were shorter. The day was divided by the sound of bells echoing from the nearest church tower. So imagine you're a modern person trying to show up to the right place at the right time. You miss the miller's window, the specific hours when you're allowed to use the communal mill, and your grain sits there going moldy. Or worse, you get fined for trying to grind it yourself illegally. Miss the market's legally fixed trading hours and you go home empty-handed. Show up late to the wrong field during the wrong plowing window and you've just broken a customary rule that could get you in serious trouble with the lord of the manor. Surviving medieval life wasn't just about being strong. It was about reading an invisible social clock that you have absolutely no training for. And speaking of things you have no training for, let's talk about the law. This one is genuinely terrifying. Imagine you're in a dispute. Maybe someone accuses you of stealing. Maybe there's a land disagreement. You go before a local court. You're innocent. You know you're innocent. But the medieval legal system doesn't care about your version of events the way you think it does. Medieval courts ran on something called compurgation. To prove your innocence, you needed oath helpers, people from your community who would swear on their souls that you were telling the truth. The more respected your oath helpers, the more weight your case carried. Here's the problem. You're a stranger. You have no family in this village, no history, no relationships, no one to swear for you. Even if you're completely innocent, you lose the case. And the penalties for losing weren't just fines. They could be brutal, mutilation, exile, death. The law was a social network, and you weren't on it. Okay, now let me ask you something. If you got sick in medieval times, and you would, where would you even go? This is actually one of the most surprising parts of this whole story. Medieval medical care wasn't all leeches and superstition. Some of it actually worked. Willow bark contains salicylates. That's basically aspirin. Honey dressings are genuinely antimicrobial. Garlic and onion pastes have been proven in modern labs to fight staph infections. Wine was used as an antiseptic wash on wounds. Monastic infirmaries had real nursing care and herbal knowledge built up over centuries. The trick was knowing which door to knock on. Go to the right herbalist or monastery and you might actually get better. Go to the wrong practitioner and you'd end up getting a heavy metal purge or aggressive bloodletting that would make everything catastrophically worse. That knowledge, knowing who to trust, was survival critical, and you'd be guessing. But here's the one that ties everything together, the one that most people would never even think about. And honestly, it might be the most important survival skill of all. The calendar. Not just knowing what month it is, understanding the liturgical calendar, the feast days, the fast days, the saints' days was the operating system of medieval life. Agricultural decisions were made around it. Planting happened at specific times tied to saints' days and weather law encoded in those dates. Tax payments, and there were many of them, with names like Merchet and Harriet and tithes, were due at specific calendar moments. Miss one, and you could lose your land. The forest, you couldn't just walk in and take wood whenever you felt like it. There were customary rites that told you exactly when and where you were allowed to gather. Wander into the wrong section of forest at the wrong time, and poaching penalties were savage. We're talking hands, ears, or worse. The entire rhythm of survival, what to plant, when to pay, where to walk, what to eat during fasting periods, was encoded in a calendar you've never studied and a set of local customs you've never heard of. Without that knowledge, you'd be breaking laws you didn't even know existed every single week. So let's bring this all together. Your gut fails within days. Your immune system overreacts to parasites, and inflammation takes you down. The food wrecks your blood sugar and strips you of vitamins. You drink from the wrong water source. You can't read the invisible social clock. You lose your court case because you have no community to swear for you. You don't know which healer to trust, and you're stumbling through a calendar-based legal system completely blind. We haven't even gotten to the actual swords yet. The truth is, medieval survival wasn't about being tough in the way movies show you. It was about being embedded. Knowing your community, knowing your calendar, knowing your land, knowing your food. Modern people are incredibly capable, but we've traded that embedded hyperlocal knowledge for a connected global one. And in medieval times, that trade would cost you everything. If this blew your mind, drop a comment below. Tell me, which one of these would take you out first? The gut bacteria? The legal system? The calorie economy? I genuinely want to know. And if you want to keep going down this rabbit hole, the video coming up next is going to take you even deeper into history's most brutal survival challenges. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Hit subscribe if you're new here. We do this kind of deep dive every week. History, science, survival, all wrapped up together. And share this one with a friend who thinks they could handle medieval life. Because after watching this, we both know the truth. They wouldn't last a week.